Go officially welcome to the call today, Thursday, May the 11th. We just had a brief discussion about trauma being stored in our body, and if we're experiencing our Groundhog Days, that part of I said possibility, and then I went, no, the probability of us storing this in our body is what's affecting the Groundhog Day. And then Karen was sharing with us that it's something to do in addition to what we're doing. So we have our affirmations, we can embody the work spiritually, is what I guess I would go. And then how do you embody the work with your physical body? Because we are a physical being. And that is a different skill set that a lot of us are not aware of, and a different way of looking at things, right? And so for those of you listening to this afterwards, if you are experiencing some of that, then please reach out to Karen. That's what she's helping me with, right? Is to work with my body now, right? Spiritually, I feel like super, super connected and really tapped in and tuned in, right? And turned on with the universe. I've got this great relationship with myself as divine. And for many months, felt almost guilty. And it was interesting as I was unpacking that about 3 months ago, felt really guilty that my physical body was in the shape that it was, because I spiritually feel so connected. So this divine source creator. And had an awareness actually while working with Karen as an empath, as a reflector. And I reluctantly am calling myself a healer in a different capacity, and still feel the reluctance, I think, is the energy of that I literally what I've been using my body as a transmitter, and so it's full of toxins. And so she's helping me work through that. And I believe that it's part and parcel, right? It's we certainly need to understand how our limiting beliefs show up. And if we, and what really kind of resonates with me, Karen, is what you're saying is that we can work with the body and not have the mindset. And the results, our outcome, our environment will be maybe the one of struggle. I'll use that word. I'm uncomfortable with that word, but again, I can't think of an English word. And it really is about the connection between mind, body, and spirit. It's all three of those pieces, right? So very interesting. All right. And so funny, because today I was guided to share more from my metaphysical textbook, and that this one's about creating a new self-image for successful living. And when I first saw this, I thought self-image as in self-esteem, right? As in self-confidence. And it's deeper than that. And so what, and I'm so sorry, I forget the name of the reverend who wrote this, so my apologies, but it talks about a spiritually based self-image. So successful living is made up of numerous different components. Its essence, however, is based on the true inner image we have of ourselves and how well we actually live that image on a daily basis. Ties in really, I think, awesome with what we were talking about earlier. Most descriptions of one's self-image that are found in popular literature are based only upon a psychological understanding of man. They lack an appreciation of the deeper spiritual nature. And the psychological self-image is made up of very shallow substances in the mind. It's an identity that has its roots in experiences from our outer conditionings of a world whose state of environment tends to diminish rather than build successful images. So I would interpret that for myself, and you, it's important that you interpreted that for yourself. But my interpretation of this is that there's so much propaganda out there, right? There's so much programming out there that we're following the programming versus really being connected to our own self-image, to our own spiritual, to our own spirit, to our own body, to our own connection to source energy. And so what he talks about here, and I love this, so self-image is more than just how we think. Right. And so I think that's the piece of it. We think that we can bring into existence the things that we want by thinking. This is the part that ties into what we're talking about earlier. But one of the things that I want to share with you, one of my aha moments was this morning, I was imagining a healthy body. And what I realized was whenever I think about a healthy body, I go into my past and I bring the past body into the image of what I want my body to the present and my future. And what came to me in meditation was that's not going to work. I believe that if I'm going into my past, I'm dragging, someone will use that word, dragging all of the consequences, environment, past beliefs along with the image. So I don't want to go into the past. So what I realized this, so Karen, so this is your show yesterday, right? So I know what I'll be doing today in my hot tub. We'll be listening to Karen's show. Karen, can you drop your show link in the chat? Would you be willing to do that? Thank you. And so what if we if you bring it from the past into the present, then you're bringing, like I said, you're bringing all of that in. So so my question today, to God source energy was, okay, great, then what's my next step? How do I do this? And now I have Karen's link, so now I'll know how. But that was my awareness today, is like, holy shit, how many times have I done that? Thought of something as what I wanted in my present and went to my past and drug that to the future, or drag it to my present, and didn't mean to drag it, but that's a great word. So it's like, holy shit, a huge aha moment, right? And so the self-image is more than what we think. It's the source of our thinking. It's actually how we see and respond to what we really deep down inside believe we are. Christ referred to this when he said, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And so how do you view yourself in your heart? What do you think of yourself in your heart, right? In your connection to divine source energy, because that's what we're talking about. That's the self-image. So we can think that, we are, we can say, right, I am, but if we don't believe the I am, right, if we don't believe the I am, then that's the disconnect. And we can say the words, right, to help us facilitate the belief in ourselves. But until there's that connection, we will experience, again, our Groundhog Days. So this is why I want to share with you, when you have a Groundhog Day, don't judge yourself. Be really excited about the opportunity of the exploration. The challenge, though, truly is, if you're trying to figure this out on your own, then the mind that created, the body that created, right, is with you, directing you. That's why I think that mentoring or coaching or other guides are so important, and I will say essential, at least that's been my experience, to my growth, because I can't see where I'm stuck. Because if I could, if I can take care of that, I would figure that. I would be like, once I see it, I'm like, okay, what's my next step? What's my next step? Right. Karen offered some, she said, you can even drag back some of your entities from the past into your present, right? Which that makes perfect sense to me. And Sherry, great comment. In Trilo, we believe that everyone has three parts: head, heart, and center, right? And most in Western society are head heavy. Absolutely, I would agree. I know now, after doing the work that I've done, if I have a headache at the end of the day, that's because that's where I was all day. I didn't connect, to all those three pieces, right? So if the self-image is more than what we think, it's the source of our thinking. It's actually how we see and respond to what we really, really deep down believe. In other words, even though a person may maintain a positive thinking attitude, it will never bear all the fruit of a successful life if the self-image is in contradiction. So your words need to match your emotion. Your words need to match your thought, right? And that's why the yeah buts are golden. That's why listening to your body, listening to your mind, listening to your heart, listening to your intuition is so important, that we spend time in, I would say, solitude in the sense of spend time in our own thoughts, right? Time to contemplate. For some of you, that might be walking, meditation, yoga, exercise, but spending time in your own thoughts. And how does that work for you? So as a neurodivergent, I have constant chatter in my brain. So there are things that if I eat correctly, the chatter becomes less and less. So if I eat less processed foods, right? Actually, I heard this acronym this weekend with my girlfriend, CRAP, carbonated, refined, artificial, processed. If I stay away from crap, carbonated, refined, artificial, process, I am much closer to God source energy, and the chatter in my head, in my neurodivergent brain, the inner dialogue that is my squirrel part, right? That distracts me starts to lessen. When I meditate, it starts to lessen. If I listen to solfeggio notes, it starts, the inner dialogue starts to lessen. When I concentrate on my breath, it starts to lessen, right? And so each one of you will have your thing that will assist you in getting closer to God's source, creator, divine, higher power, whatever that word chooses to be for you. So we'll have this contradiction between our thoughts and our self-image. So part of what we want to do is be an awareness of how to construct a positive self-image. And in this work, they talk about it being a psychological versus spiritual self-image. And I really liked how they laid it out. So the psychological is the world about you suggests limited power. So psychologically, the world about you suggests limited power. A spiritual one is the world of your true divine nature suggests unlimited power at your disposal. So we're programmed that we have limited power. And the truth is, the truth meaning capital T, we have unlimited power. The second, psychological, the world about you suggests that man is perhaps evil by nature. Right? There's a low programming, and depending on where you grew up or who you grew up with, that man is evil by nature. And spiritually, the true reality of your divine self suggests and affirms that goodness and beauty are the true nature of life. That at our true nature of life, we have this beauty and this goodness, that we're not evil. Therefore, money cannot be the root of all evil, because money is an energy, right? And a connection to us. The lie is the world about you suggests that there are haves and have-nots, right? And we see this. I mean, there's so much evidence of this, but the truth is the divine part of your nature tells you that you have, and that to believe it deep within yourself is to actualize it in your physical reality. Believe it and then see it. And again, we're talking about today earlier on the call about our true nature. And if you're holding on, and perhaps you don't resonate with the word trauma, right? But if you're holding on to, whether it be yours or your parents' ancestral happenings that your mind wasn't able to process, you will store it in your body, store it within your cells. That's my interpretation. So if anyone has another interpretation in the call, please bring your interpretation, because it's not just mine, right? So there's this psychological self-image and the spiritual self-image. One will block you while the other unfolds your divine capability. Okay, so one blocks you and one can unfold. So to build this, here's what the beginning steps of this, right? The spiritual base must be like the hub of a wheel around which certain attributes of mind connected to the quality of one's life must be considered. So our spiritual is the hub of the wheel. Our attributes revolve around the hub or center of the wheel, and they are in the nature of the hub and therefore provide free-flowing outlets for the hub or God-conscious part of your mind. So I imagine it a wheel, right? And there's a spiritual realm within that. So when we're doing our affirmations, even talking about our true nature, right? The truth of what we're talking about, and being really clear with our intellectual mind, truth with a capital T, right? And Karen, thank you for that. So even if your mind can process, it can still caught in the body. I appreciate that, right? This is why day-to-day stress will cause harm to the body. I appreciate that. Because as I said that, I was thinking there's something that I'm missing. So, right. Thank you. So what we can start to look at in building a successful self-image, here are the steps according to the metaphysical textbook that I have. And this is metaphysics psychology is, I think, the degree. I'm doing a double degree, so I can never remember which textbook this one's from. So, so my true nature is part of eternity, and I'm unhurried in my daily activities, maintaining patience with myself and others. So the first part is to be patient. You have programming, and depending on how old you are, and depending on what lifetime, how many lifetimes you've had, right? There is a theory that karmically we come back, and anything that we didn't unfold successfully. And I know those words feel really limiting to me, but that's the only thing I can think of in English. Excuse me. Unfold successfully is, and we can bring some of that, right? Some of that programming into this current life. The next successful self-image step is honesty. So being radically honest, right? As all others are actually an extension of us, I know the inner truth that to be honest with others is to be honest with other parts of myself, represented before my physical senses as other people. Now, what I received from this was there have been times in my life where it was easier for me to not be honest with other people because I felt like I couldn't say it in a way that wouldn't be hurtful. I'm kind of direct, right? And not everyone can appreciate that. Or I might say things like, I don't have the time for something, when the truth is because I had no interest. And so those pieces of honesty whittle away, right? So, you know, in the programming that I have, right, I grew up with it's not okay to lie, but it's okay to have a white lie. There's a disconnect there. So a white lie is okay, but what a black lie is not? What's the difference? What's the boundary of a white lie and a black lie? It's always very confusing to me as a child. I'll even as an adult, because my mom and dad are like, don't lie. And then they'll say something to somebody else, which is a complete lie. I'm like, that's fucking bullshit, right? And it caused me so much confusion. And so, you know, so that this honesty piece of, if you grew up in an environment like I did, where there was lots of secrets, you can't lie, but don't tell anyone that, you know, your mom and dad are fighting because your dad drinks too much. Don't tell anyone that your dad, you know, family is alcoholic, and, you know, your dad's better because he only starts to drink at noon at cocktails, and your uncle is worse off because your uncle has whiskey in the morning with his coffee to get rid of his tremors. True story, right? So, but don't talk about that, right? Don't talk about the, you know, the manic behavior. Don't talk about depression. But we don't want you to lie. Like, it can be, I mean, imagine a child. And when you have that confusion as a young person, you will bring that confusion, right? And the confusion stored in your body. And logically, I know that makes no sense, but I had to really reprogram myself to be honest with people. I had to pause before I spoke and thought, if the words are coming out of my mouth, are they true? Are they truth? So for me, I changed the word honesty to truth, right? Are they the truth? And then speak from my truth, right? Which is, why am I saying no? It's because I don't want to. Why don't I want to? Then I would go underneath that, and then I would share underneath that, rather than say no. I have no interest, right? And for some friends, I could say that I have no interest in that at all. Right? And some of my friends wouldn't take that personal. I don't want to hurt anyone, but I also wanted to be in awareness of this important piece. Reliability is the next step. To find and know the reliability of God, I vibrate reliability in my dealings with others. Now, this, your truth is your bond, right? So I have someone here that talks about that, and can be really important and reliable. And I would say what's most important is reliability to yourself, right? So this is why I share with you, don't have a to-do list of 25 things, right, that you may or may not get done, but make a commitment list and then be committed to being committed to your commitment list. It kind of starts like that. So if you know that you can only commit to one thing that day, then commit to that one thing. And when that one thing is done, then commit to the next. Otherwise, you're showing yourself over and over again that you're not reliable. Because how many times have we said we're going to do something and we don't do it? It doesn't matter why we don't do it. The message we're sending is we're not reliable. The message that we're sending is that we're unreliable. The message we're sending is that we don't speak our truth. And it's all at an unconscious, subconscious level. Sincerity. If I can be more sincere with others, I can have the power to be more sincere with myself. Right? And so sincerity will have a different definition for people, right? For me, when I was thinking of this years ago, and I guess I kind of looked at this like, oh, I'm doing most of this. It's authenticity for me. That was the word that came to me for me, authenticity. If I can be more authentic with others, right? Then what does that look like? Loyalty. I am loyal to the premise that God is the true self of my life. So that God means divine, us. And in that vibration, express my loyalty to my friends and associates. Right? Now, this one, I got to share with you, triggers me and tweaks me. I'm not there, right? And so I always want to share that with you because I didn't want to omit it because it's here in the textbook. But I Karen, I struggle with loyalty. And I think that's because I've had a lot of people in my life that I was loyal to and perhaps shouldn't have been loyal to. So that word may feel good for you. You might need to replace it. I'm just sharing with you, right? I have, and I haven't established if it's resonance. I don't resonate with it, or I'm a resistance. I think it's a little bit of both. So there's me being authentic with all of you. There's me being radically honest with all of you. I'm like, I don't know about that word. I understand the premise of it. Like, so I guess where I'm at is I am feel extremely comfortable with being loyal to divine, to nature, to my higher power, to the God within me. Excuse me. I'm more reluctant to be loyal to another individual. And could that just be my polish coming up? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So for you, it's important, tap into your own self, right? And follow your heart, your guidance, your truth, because that's way more important than what anyone else says, right? Your truth is ultimate. Adaptability, right? So how adaptable are we? I'm part of the unlimited expression of God coming forth from me. I can truly consider myself a person who's adaptable to that which life presents before me. Adaptability, right? I've talked lots about surrender, right? I surrender. I experience the isness of something. Another word would be I adapt. I can see something, there's an experience. I don't have to take it personal, right? Adaptability. Resourcefulness. The God part of my mind can bring forth new ideas through my intuition to meet any new need in my life. Resourcefulness. Now, the challenge I think we have is that we believe our resourcefulness comes from our intellect. So I want to encourage you to tap into your intuition, mind, body, spirit. Tap into your connection with divine. Tap into your intuition. Okay? If it would be tap into your body. Right? That's the resourcefulness. Enthusiasm. Being enthusiastic about our life. Knowing that we're constantly directed towards greater experiences from the God center of our mind. Be excited, even when we're presented with, quote unquote, an obstacle or challenge. What does that look like? Right? Confidence. My life is God ruled, God directed, God powered, and so I vibrate confidence from the very center of my being into every area of my life. When we're connected to our own divine self, right, we can lean into that confidence and do the thing. I think this came up yesterday. Confidence doesn't come afterwards. Confidence comes first, right? I believe this is where the saying, fake it till you make it, came from, right? Right? Draw within your own confidence first. Do not wait for the thing to happen to gain the confidence, because that's not going to happen. It's like the illusion of money comes from working hard, that money comes from the thing that we do. Money actually doesn't come from what we do, right? Money is an energy, and it comes from building a relationship with someone, and it's an exchange, right? And so it can be kind of like, again, words can be difficult, but we're programmed, right, that the end all and be all is money, and money is extremely important, right? We, at this time in our life, this juncture, we cannot, right, do without money. And so it is important, but we don't earn it. That's the lie, right? That's the lie. Because just think about that. I know we're over time here, but think about that. If we are earning money and you have challenges with your value and worthiness, how's that going to work for you then to earn the money? If you have a challenge with your value and worthiness, if that's right, if you're embodying that challenge of value and worthiness and you go to earn money, how's that chipping away at you, right? So, all right. There's a couple more that I'll get back to tomorrow, right? And share with you. I want to thank all of you for being here. I do want to offer, I guess, and ask a question of all of you, which is, I think all of you know I've been kind of down the incredibly awesome rabbit hole of chat. I love rabbit holes, by the way, so that, you know, for me is like exciting. Chat GPT. And there's still a lot of information that's out there. There's still a lot of fear. In fact, I'm watching this show on Disney called Next, N-E-X-T. It's about artificial intelligence taking over. It's quite like, right? Yeah, I know. Yeah, it was like, oh, that's kind of scary. And but I am down this rabbit hole chat. And if you are wanting to know more about how to use it, let me know. You can either message me here, or you can, like, later on, you can email me. I'm like easy to get a hold of, right? But let me know, because I'm thinking about doing a 2 or 3 hour just extra opportunity for the group here, and inviting some of my other coworkers and friends to come and hang out. So Diane, you would like that? Okay, perfect. Because what I'm seeing, yeah, right, about AI last night, it's interesting. Yeah. Okay, perfect. I'll make sure I'll do this then. What I'm sex and AI. Oh, that would be an interesting conversation. what I'm seeing is just some of the different things that are coming up, and how to use it, what else you can use it for, because it was originally actually designed to problem solve in technology. It wasn't originally designed to be a language model, right, for people to do copywriting. And it's not Google, so it doesn't go to like the current resources, and doesn't, unless you direct it to, right? But it was like one of the things I did yesterday was I went to and asked it to analyze my website and tell me what it as a language model it interpreted that I did from reading my website. And it was really interesting, right, what it came up with. So we can use it for things like that. It can do a table. So one of the coolest things that it did for me last week was I've had this idea that a marketing funnel, the way that a marketing funnel is set out, or a client journey is set out, is connected to our chakras. But I couldn't wrap intellectually, I couldn't wrap my head around it. So I asked chat, I said, here's that this is what I believed, right? And I wonder if I said if I believed it, but no, the question was to take a look at this client journey that I'd written, and take a look at and I asked about chakra system, and I said, make a table of which part of the client journey is related to which chakra system, and it did it. And it was able to do something for me that I have been thinking about, like, how do I process this for like 2 years now. I've had this. It's actually, I have it up here in my wall. It's been there. It's like, I know there's a connection, I just can't see it. So I asked the AI to see it, and I was like, that's what I've been seeing all along. And I got a little freaked out. I was like, okay, I'm a little scared now, but it was really, really cool, right? And so we can use it to help us problem solve, is what I'm saying, right? And it's different than Google. I couldn't do that with Google, right? I couldn't do that with Google. And there's some things also that it will do. So I was playing around with it, and it said something about as a Harvard graduate. I was like, I'm not a Harvard graduate. So it's not accurate. It's not 100% accurate. It's an interpretation, right? It's an interpretation. So I will, and I'm going to do this quickly. So, I mean, in the next 30 days, I guess that's my quickly. So I will make arrangements to do that, and then invite all of you. I think we'll just have some fun, right? We'll have some fun with it. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for staying with me. I appreciate you being here today, and we will talk to you tomorrow. Thanks. Bye. Oh, Karen, that's interesting, right? Yeah, we're going to have so much fun playing, for sure. Oh, Diane, can you stay here for a moment?